Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to finally announce the return of somebody that you guys are very familiar with, but also somebody that needs no introduction at all.
Hey, I
Known
agree with that one.
for exactly known for his very in-depth takes on film, very in-depth analysis, his love for movies and cinema, comic book movies in general, just like which is why the two of us started this channel.
Hmm.
Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the wonderful Khalil Jamal.
Thank you. Love that introduction. I mean, you didn't sell me short at all, so I appreciate it. And look, I I'm glad to be back because, we don't know how long this will be, and there's no shot in hell that I'm going to be regularly back. But there is hope that I will show up again. And, Alon has been doing a great job, and, big things always, right? So, look, I've enjoyed I have not enjoyed my sabbatical away, and it's funny because Alana's thinking about this, and also I can't shut up, so that hasn't changed. But I was thinking actually thinking about this. I'm like, the amount of people who now know me who didn't know me when I did the podcast, like any version of the podcast, it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of crazy because like a lot of people like again, there's the archive, but like contemporaneously, no one like really knows. And so it is
Mm-hmm.
going to be kind of a very funny thing when you think about all the new people who are going to see like again, people get tired of listening to me, but it is what it is. So
I mean,
very happy back.
can't really get tired of somebody like you who you have a ridiculous depth of analysis whenever in this situation we talk about movies, for example.
That is true. I am ridiculously smart.
So
You're pumping
the
my ego
re-
too much right now, but yeah.
so the reason why Khalil and I are here is yeah, we wanted to record a podcast, but we want to do our collective review of the biggest film of the year, probably the biggest film of the year, The Odyssey, which just came out not so long ago. I uploaded my individual review of the film already. I think it was a day after I saw it last week. And for those of you who've seen it, you guys know my review and what I said about it. I think Khalil, you said as well that you saw that video as well. But I
Yep.
let's start off with your thoughts. What did you think of the movie? Um, it's obviously a Christopher Nolan movie, and whenever that comes out, that's a big event that many people are going to go out to watch. Obviously, Oppenheimer nearly made $1 billion. Obviously, the Dark Knight trilogy that came out almost more than a decade ago now. So
Inception,
obviously,
Memento, Interstellar.
Inception, Memento, Interstellar, every single Dunkirk, every single Nolan movie is a
Yeah,
it's like
Dunkirk sucks. That doesn't count. Same with
every
Tenet.
single
That's why you didn't
Nolan.
mention Tenet.
Tenet, yes, yes, we don't talk about Tenet. That's a very confusing movie. Um, yeah, so I wanted to know, like, obviously, every Nolan movie is a big event. So, what did you think of it? The acting, just everything that you have in general. What did you think of the film?
So three things, okay, and one of those will be an answer to your question. Okay, number one, um, Alon, you're kind of slacking a little bit because see, there's a Lakers thing on your wall, there's a Cavs thing on your wall, but I don't see any Sixers things. So I don't know. Like, it's very distracting. I can't really focus when I don't see any Sixers things. Like for a bandwagon Sixers fan, I mean, you gotta be. Come on, man. What's going on?
I gotta get on.
I'm waiting for the Sixers thing. Anyways, that's a side point, but. You've known me for a long time, and I don't know if you noticed this, but notice how I didn't actually put any either public reaction of any sort, nor did I answer your question about what I thought about the movie, nor have I
Mhm.
actually told you what I thought about the movie. Now, I did that intentionally because I wanted to know, what do you think I thought about this movie? Because my takes have been controversial in the past, and I have a love-hate relationship with Nolan. And this is a kind of movie that's very long, and you know my thoughts on long movies. So, what do you think my thoughts on this movie are?
Well, you're not the biggest fan of long movies, but also
That is true.
at the same time, like maybe you had a different experience, but everyone's saying like the movie is damn near 3 hours, but it doesn't feel like it's 3 hours.
So do you think I liked it or not? What's your
I
thoughts?
think you liked it. Yeah.
So, Alon, you know me very well, and this is the thing that
Oh
makes this
no,
sometimes less
Khalil,
fun.
Khalil, no
No,
man.
it was a fucking awesome movie. It is one of the very rare movies where it sits in a category of this probably over time will become one of the best like long movies ever made because in my opinion, much like Infinity War, unlike a movie like Endgame,
Mhm.
actually, this is a movie where I don't know the exact runtime, but it is a long movie. It's almost 3 hours, but it doesn't
Yeah,
feel like that to the point where I actually wish, like, I told my brother this, and I'm like, I could have seen them. And by the way, there's gonna be spoilers in this, so go watch the movie if you haven't.
yeah,
I told my
yeah.
brother, like, I could have totally seen this being a 7 hour, 3 part movie because there's so much depth to this. And I know it's a very historic poem and all the other things, and like, it's
Yeah,
classic literature. But Nolan does this
yeah.
thing, and I do have to give him a lot of credit, where he has a way of making stupid, boring things amazing.
Mhm.
Like I think that is
I
something
mean,
incredible.
The Odyssey is um it's a very, 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 very long book. I listened to the audiobook and it was about like 15, 16 hours worth of an audiobook. It was one that I had to listen to in like 1 hour increments because of how long it was. It's it's a very like you look at a physical copy of it, it's a very thick chunk. It's a very thick book. And I feel like Nolan did a really good job of including every single part of the Odyssey that was important to the story. And yeah, like Nolan can take something bland and turn it into something interesting. I mean, in my opinion, the Odyssey isn't a bland story. It's like it's a classic story of Greek mythology, which was absolutely incredible. But he managed to include. There's so much in the actual book, and Nolan somehow also found a way to include every important part of the Odyssey in a 3 hour movie while simultaneously keeping the audience, engaged. He included the Cyclops in the cave scene, the Laestrygonians forest scene, everything with Calypso. Um, what was interesting as well is that in the Odyssey, the actual book, Homer doesn't write about the Trojan War and he doesn't describe what happens. And then this movie shows the Trojan War. Odysseus' soldiers inside of the Trojan horse on their way to Troy, and then the sacking of the city of Troy. Nolan included every single important part of the Odyssey from the book and put it in this movie and kept the audience intrigued and entertained the entire way. I don't. There's not a single dull moment in this movie. Almost
Well, the Iliad does do the they does talk about the Trojan War, and I think
the
that
Trojan War. Yeah.
the Iliad, the Odyssey kind of combined.
Mm,
Um, and I think there's another one in that, but anyways, I think that's like I think the Iliad was the part of that. But again, I agree with you broadly, which is it it is like again, and like what I'm gonna say is this. I think that what like the way that he frames it. And I again to like because I agree 100% with what you're saying, like the way he frames it is actually really clever. And what I mean by that, and I think you probably caught on to this as well because you talked about it and you mentioned it when you review whatever, but like he does he kind of like leaves all the important parts in, obviously, like, or at least all the key parts. Now, the only thing was
mm,
the one weird part was the cannibal, like the big cannibal metal men one, which I just didn't understand
yeah.
the like I understood the vague like the general purpose, but it didn't feel like it needed to be in it because I feel like he didn't explore enough. Like I think he left that was the one thing I'm like, okay, well, whatever. But other than that, everything else was needed to be there. And like the Cersei stuff I thought was fantastic. But
Mm,
what it showed more than anything, and this is the thing I think he did really well, is because they were the people from the sea, right? That's how it ends, is they were the people from the sea. They were the ones who were torturing everyone, burning villages. And you saw at the beginning with the Asian guy, right? In that first village when they're burning everything down, right? And then you see it when they become pigs. And I think if you showed more of that first village, I think it wouldn't have been as much of like a, oh wow, they really are. Because like they would have looked like the bad guys. Because like you felt
Mhm.
sympathy, like and again, like the Cyclops, right? I think is a good example as well. You felt sympathy for the Cyclops when
Yeah.
Odysseus like stabbed him in the or shot him in the eye at the end, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And then after that, obviously, like you felt like he kind of had that moment of like reckoning of like, you know, either like regardless of the gods part of it, like I think there was that moment of reckoning for him where he actually had to go and really make some substantial like mental changes. And then you saw it all come down to, and what we will talk about, I think, and we should talk about now, because again, we can get back to the story. But I mean, this movie may actually have the best fight scene in an action movie in a long time.
Mhm.
And do you want to, I don't know, do you know what
Which,
the fight scene I'm talking about is?
well, there were several. There was the one at the end where Odysseus
That's the
was in the
best one.
hall full of suitors. That was
Yeah.
insane. That
It
was
is a fight,
insane.
Alon. That is a fight, which I honestly can put. mm, Okay, now, this is going to be very controversial for you. Is it Matt Damon's best fight scene?
It might be. It might be actually.
I think it is. This
Yeah.
is the thing. It's not like because the way it's cut, which I think was interesting, is it's not cut like an action movie fight scene, which you know how they're cut, like they're cut,
Yeah.
angles, whatever, right? Like, and you see a lot in like superhero movies specifically. Again, there's exceptions. The Winter Soldier being one of the exceptions where they have good long fight scenes, whatever. This was a very good fight scene in the sense that it didn't keep cutting away. Like they cut away to go to Tom Holland's character at the like in the like at the top, like on
Yeah.
the second level. But like other than that, they stayed very consistent with the camera moved really well. It was really well shot,
Mhm.
and it was just an epic fucking scene
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
and it was such like a vindication moment of like. And the other thing, by the way, Robert Pattinson was amazing in this because Robert Pattinson's
Oh
character
yeah. He was terrific.
he was an
He was terrific in
asshole.
this.
He was an
Yeah.
asshole, and that's what he's meant to be. He was a jack because he was literally saying, "Get me the sword, get me this," because he was too scared, right? Because that's who he is. He's a coward, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that was just like that whole scene is just incredible to me. And again, just watching Matt Damon kick ass with like looking like this old man and just beating the shit out of these people was so delightful. I enjoyed that so much. Like I was just
You're.
chuckling and
Yeah.
laughing the entire time. I
It's
loved it.
it's such a well choreographed scene, and I feel like there's been a lot of movies nowadays where how they shoot action scenes has kind of evolved. I think movies are getting better at like kind of some here and there, yeah, but are still kind of a bit weird in how they shoot action movie scenes. But like I feel like movies nowadays are getting a bit better at shooting them. There's more long shots. The cameras are remaining a lot more stationary as well. Um, and this and just yeah, watching Matt Damon butcher an entire room full of potential suitors with a bow and arrow and like a sword and everything while his son is fighting someone upstairs as well, combined with like a, just a super great sounding soundtrack to accompany that, and Robert Pattinson just as Anthony was being the absolute asshole that he was to the entire film. Yeah, it made for a great scene. Um, I wanted to get your take as well on the major characters as performances. So Matt Damon in the film played Odysseus, Anne Hathaway played Penelope, Tom Holland played Telemachus, Robert Pattinson played Antinous, um, and there were several other. Those are the four bigger roles that I can think of. But what did you think of how they brought those characters from the Odyssey to the big screen? How did they do?
Um, so okay, let's start with Tom Holland. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if Tom Holland is in your like question, but I consider him part of
He
those
was, yeah,
characters.
yeah. Tom Holland is Telemachus, yeah.
So I now full disclosure, my knowledge of the Odyssey, the Iliad, any of these the Homer books, very very weak. Okay, I've read
Mhm.
one when I was a kid. I read one like Odysseus book, like a little like picture book thing. That's about the
Mhm.
scale of my knowledge, and so I do not know how these characters are supposed to be. Let's make this very clear here, because what I'm going to say is going to sound very mean. Okay, so number one. Well, actually, no, there's one other point I want to make quickly, which is Zendaya just paid to just do what she did in Dune now, just stand there in white and just
Yeah,
nod and
just stand
smile? I'm
around.
just confused.
Yeah, to make the
I don't
same face.
understand. It was
Yeah,
Dune 1 all over again.
just
This is
yeah,
literally
like
what she did in Dune.
stand around, make a single face, and contribute nothing.
Yeah, anyway, so that was that.
I guess
But
that's
then
what
this
she's
is the
always
thing.
always argued.
So Tom Holland was weak.
Yeah.
Like the entire time, and I understand he's a kid, he's supposed to be a kid and like all this other stuff, right? But like he never felt like a leader to me, and even to the point where like what I thought was like I was like fine, he's weak, whatever. And then he goes to Sparta and he meets John Bernthal or John Bernthal's
Hmm.
character, right? And
Right.
which is
Yeah.
just Punisher, bald Punisher. Anyways, so he 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 goes to Sparta and he's training with John Bernthal's character, right? And then he comes back, and then he's in this fight. And like, yes, it's a good payoff that the way he kills the guy he was fighting is the way that he was taught at the beginning to kill him. Sure, fine. But even then, when he's wearing like, all the royal stuff and they're sailing west, whatever, to the sun, I just in my I'm just sitting there thinking, this dude's a loser. He's weak and a loser. Like I never felt any, and maybe it's because of who Tom Holland is, but it's my same thoughts about like Timothy Chalamet and Dune. Is like this dude's just a loser. Like he's just weak. And it's like maybe again, maybe it's just the character and like the actor. And I understand. I've been told at least by people who have any like a little bit more knowledge on this than I do that this is the character he's supposed to play, and this is a good representation of the character. But I just don't like it. Like it's just
Mhm.
bad vibes. And again,
Mhm.
maybe it's accurate to source material, but man, I don't give a shit. I want it to be good. And I don't know. I got some weird vibes from that. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what your thoughts on that were, but like,
Yeah. There. It's it's interesting because like obviously we know Tom Holland from Spider-Man, and those tend to be his most famous roles for now, especially like his three most famous roles were his three Spider-Man movies. Speaking of, there's a Spider-Man movie coming out next Friday as well. Um, yeah, so obviously when
and
you
that
think of
we
Tom
might
Holland,
come
you
back to talk about
you
that.
naturally go to true. We might come back to talk about that one. Um, yeah, and when you think of Tom Holland, obviously you think of his performances as Spider-Man, but you don't really think of his non-Spider-Man roles. I mean, he's had a few. He's done a few. He's done a few crime films and dramatic stuff as well. Um, but I feel like I don't know. He wasn't the worst performer, but he also wasn't the best. He wasn't like
Well,
Robert
I don't
Pattinson
think it's
or
his I don't think it's his acting though. I just think it's his character, like his personality. Like I just don't think his vibes were right. Like it just felt like again, maybe it's source material accurate, but it just felt like a bad vibes cast.
mm, I I get what you mean. Yeah, but he I will give him credit though, however, because there was one particular scene at the end where he he conveys so much like rage and like anger when he's yelling at everybody in that room full of suitors like stop, that's
But he
the
just sounds
end
like a
of the
loser. Like he
I
doesn't.
don't know,
There's no force there.
I feel like it had some, and I think he did a good job there of conveying the anger and the rage that Telemachus was feeling in that, and like running out of patience that Telemachus was supposed to convey in that scene. Could they have chosen a better actor to play Telemachus? Maybe they could have. I don't know off the top of my head who it could have been, but um, yeah. Another another part that we touched on, and you said briefly, Robert Pattinson as Antinuous. You are
Hmm.
completely right when you say he was just a complete fucking annoying fucking dickhead the entire movie. And my God, does he do that so good? With Robert Pattinson, um, he has two more movies this year coming out. Primetime, which he's playing Predator catcher Chris Hansen, and he's playing the villain in Dune Part 3. in December.
Wait,
Um,
that comes out this year?
Dune Part Three, yeah, it comes out the end of the year.
Ew.
So
I hate Dune.
he's got he's playing Chris Hansen in September, and he's got Dune after that afterwards. Yeah. So again, what did you make of his performance of you know the big dickhead Antinuous?
Look, I think that Robert Pattinson's best roles are him being a piece of shit, and I think he did. And by the way, like there was just something like there was this scene, and it still sticks in my head, like I still see it, is the smile he gave when he was I don't remember what like the context of it was, but he was drinking and like you could see like the wine on his
I
like
know
almost like
exactly what you're
dripping
talking about. Yeah.
like dripping, almost like dripping, like it looked like almost like blood, right?
Hmm.
And like you see it like around his face, and like it looks like he's like he looks evil, like, and
Yeah.
it's just a picture of, and again, if you've seen the movie, like I'm pretty sure everyone can visualize exactly what I'm talking about, but like, and he like gives this like fucking smirk, okay? And I just like it's like skin crawling. And it's just like I hate you. Like even when he would like when he was threatened Penelope, right? And he's like it's brilliant and you can appreciate it, but it's also like I hate you and you're a fucking piece of shit and I want to kill you. And like you can't do it. You're kind of stuck, right? You can't do anything to him because he's in the screen and he's like in a movie. But like you really hate him. And I think that's something that's really hard to do where you just drive like the audience so crazy that they're so mad at you. Like there is no redeeming qualities about him, right? Like there is no point where like because he's not meant to be like the bad guy. So like in the same way where so there's no redeeming quality. Like he's a shitty person, and you like I find it very hard to find someone who feel bad for the guy, right?
Yeah.
Because he's universally hateable. But at the same time, it's like you can't do anything because he's just there. Like even like when he kicks like Odysseus when he comes back and is disguised, right?
Hmm.
Like it's just he's so, and even like the other thing, sorry, I gotta just I love this guy so much in like this movie, he's so good. But like when he gets like the little like whistle or whatever it was, right, from Odysseus,
Hmm.
who's Sinon or whatever, like he's being Sinon in that situation, right? And we will talk about Elliot Page in a
Right.
little bit. But anyways,
Hmm.
he gets it and he like looks at it like he's confused. Like you can see he's taken aback, but he just does not give a shit. And like again, that is acting talent, which I have to give him a lot of credit for. Like the ability to look so effective, but also be able to convincingly say, like, I do not give a shit about this person. I don't know who the fuck this is. And like it just it again it cements the piece of shit he is. Where he just throws the thing and he's like, I don't care. Like I don't know. I just find it to be so refreshing. Like he's so good in this and it's like amazing. And I think it just shows you the talent of a script and a director as well. Because like I think that this like you needed Nolan to get this out of him. It also makes me wonder secretly in the back of my head what a Nolan Robert Pattinson Batman movie would be like.
That could be interesting.
Like
That could
I
be.
had these thoughts.
I mean, I'm not. I don't think it would be as dark as the Matt Reeves Batman universe. It would be a
I
lot
think it'd be
more of like
different.
it would be different, but it would be more epic scale Batman rather than like street level grounded Batman like we saw in 2022 with Robert Pattinson in that movie. I think that's what it would look like.
Well, I think that like Pattinson being like that kind of asshole like jerk version of Bruce Wayne would just be so fun because like he isn't that in Batman, and if we ever get a sequel to the Batman, that would be really nice. They
We
keep
are.
delaying it.
It's being filmed right now.
They've been filming it for fucking 18 years. How many years has it been? Like, look, the fact that we're living in a universe where we're gonna get a fucking Clayface movie before we get a Batman 2 is insane to me. We've gotten two Joker movies and we're getting a Clayface movie. We can't get a second Batman movie. It's insane. We've gotten a Supergirl movie. We're gonna get like whatever other ridiculous movie they're coming out. Like we're getting three Dune movies. I think all three have come out in between the time of the first Batman and the second one, or at
Yeah,
least two of the
two
three.
of the three. Yeah, two of
Yeah,
the
two of
three
the
came
three.
out. Yeah, in that time frame. Yeah.
We've gotten multiple
Um.
Harley Quinns.
Oh my god, we've got two
We've
Christopher
got a
Nolan movies.
Penguin TV. We've got a Penguin TV show, Clayface
Yeah.
movie. We've gotten a joke. But did both Jokers come out maybe between the two?
No, the first Joker came out in 2019.
Okay, so one Joker movie between the two.
Yeah,
Like, come on.
we got two Nolan movies in between, Oppenheimer
The
and the
DC
Odyssey.
universe has rebooted since the last Batman movie came out.
Yeah, look, the Batman sequel's been hit by a lot of delays, but they're filming it right now, and
Do we believe them?
it got delayed again until February 2028. But yeah, what can you do?
I don't think it's coming out. I'm convinced.
I hope it
Please.
does. I hope it does come out.
It was a good movie. It just feels like we might get a DCEU Batman movie before we get the Batman 2.
Hmm.
The DCU might
Well,
also die before we get the Batman 2,
yeah,
based on how
yeah.
Supergirl is doing. Anyways,
Um,
not the point.
yeah. So, continuous, continuous, absolutely incredibly as Robert Pattinson does any role he's in. The guy has
Hmm.
a ridiculous amount of range. It doesn't matter what he does, anything he plays, it's just insane amount of range. Um, I want to get your reaction as well to obviously the two main characters, Odysseus and Penelope. I think Penelope and Hathaway did a great job of portraying a woman who is, has a mix of, grieving and longing for her husband returning home, and the, she showed, she really showed well the upsetness of like being so far from Odysseus for so long. And Matt Damon as Odysseus knocked it out of the park and then some.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what was what's your critique of their two performances?
Well, so Penelope's performance. Okay, so this is the thing. It's a very easy role to play in a sense, but it's
Mhm.
also a hard one to play. And what I mean by that is like the character's not a super like deep character. Like there's a few things, there's a few like surprising moments, but like broadly speaking, like the biggest challenge with that role is just being so aloof despite and so like kind of out of it and so like solemn, like basically across the board, right?
Mhm.
And I think that was something I thought was really impressive. Again, it's not a very complex, deep role, but it's hard to kind of have that same like complete dismissiveness for everything going on, and she does, and she's very good at it, right? Because she's trying to basically hide everything in terms of like what the reasoning for everything is, right? And but like again, like I don't think she was kind of just a side character. Like the coolest moment I think was when she flipped out and basically like told everyone to fuck off. Like and then she also the other thing I think was really cool is like how and again, I don't know, and I'm curious what your thoughts are in terms of if she knew that Odysseus was there, or if she was just like, okay, I'm just gonna do this thing now. But I did find that to be very interesting, like how she went about that part of it. And so I again like that was kind of the thing. And then obviously with Matt Damon, like I think that's probably worth more of the conversation. Like I think, look, I'm gonna say something you're not gonna like, okay? But Matt Damon has had some great roles and also some not so acting heavy roles, right? Like I don't know if Jason Bourne is an acting heavy role. I don't know. But this is the thing I'll tell you. That fucking performance was unbelievable and I have not watched enough movies this year to make an accurate assessment on this. But if that's not the fucking front runner for best actor, I don't know if the Oscars are on YouTube now, so I don't really know if it matters. But like if they do matter, then that is the performance I would have number one because he was incredible. The range, even like his fucking speech at the end of like to Penelope at the end when he's like, the guy, like the whatever, right? And it just like just his presence on screen as well. Like Matt Damon's also not a guy. Like when you think of like actors, right? Like there's people like who have kind of this on screen, like they walk onto the screen and Tom Cruise, for example, is one of those, right? So Tom Cruise shows up on screen, like there's a presence there. I don't think Matt Damon has that. Like Ben Affleck actually is a really good example. Like he has an on-screen presence who shows up, right? Matt Damon typically not that, but holy shit, that man would show up on screen and you'd be like, holy crap! Like it was really like again, like it was incredible in a way that I just genuinely did not expect from Matt Damon. I didn't know he could do it, honestly. And like I was just very blown away by that. And again, like we do have to at some point talk about. and this is probably the next thing I think, but like we got to talk about the Hades scene. Um, but like let's like I want to know what your other Matt Damon thoughts are in terms of like is this his best performance and best actor like lock at this point?
Yeah, look, this was like probably the best performance of his career, I'd say. I mean, yeah, he's done a lot of great roles. Like he played terrific in the Scorsese film The Departed that came out way back in the
Oh
early
yeah, The Departed's a
2000s.
great movie.
It
Great
is,
movie.
it is, it very much is. Yeah, Jason Bourne is not very acting heavy. It's more action oriented. Matt Damon just had to give a normal performance, and he did that. But it wasn't like he he didn't really need to give a Oscar worthy performance for the movie to be good. And it's fine he didn't. It's not like part of the job requirements. But this one in particular, yeah, yeah, this is for sure like a front runner for best actor. And I pray that come Oscar season, like he is going to be up there at the front running for taking on the Academy Award for this role because if anybody deserves it, it's 100% him. I've seen a solid amount of movies this year to say for sure, yeah, he is one of the people that are very much well deserving of it. Yes, the scene in Hades, so cool, so gloomy, so like vibey and so well done, and the soundtrack accompanying it was great and so dark and everything. And yeah, super well done. And like it's it's like Nolan did the best job he could to capture like the dread and the
By
misery
the
of
way,
Hades.
sorry, just point this out
Yeah.
quickly, just so we can cap this. So I just want to Kalshi right now just to see like what the betting market is. And
Mhm,
Matt Damon is number two, Tom Cruise number one for Digger. Matt Damon is at
mhm,
number two at 36%. Tom Cruise is 37% number one. So he is like right now, depending on where you look and like some of the other like things, like they have him at like as the front runner favorite. It's him, it's Ryan Gosling, and it's Tom Cruise, it feels like.
mhm.
Um, and so yeah, he is right now essentially the front runner, and it's good because it's very well deserved. Anyways, continue.
Um, yeah. So Hades, super cool scene, super cool.
Lady scene.
Like, yeah, that's what I mean too. Like creepy, gloomy, dread, misery, and just like it didn't need big, grandiose action and big grandioseness to be the awesome scene that it was because it was such an awesome scene and it didn't have any of that. You know, the dialogue, the everybody just covered in black sand and dirt and everything, and just like the just how gray everything was. It made it feel like just a dark, terrible place to be. And one of the people that were in Hades then, and I'd like to get your reaction to the Hades scene as well. But one of the people that was in Hades, Josh Safdie, Benny or Josh Safdie as Agamemnon, had like
Agamemnon was so good.
4 or 5 minutes of screen time, which is
The
farming the
best.
entire movie. And he had some dialogue in Hades as well because Odysseus, to Odysseus' surprise, finds Agamemnon there because Agamemnon survives the Trojan War, and then it's found out the hell that Troy kills him, and then that's how he ends up in Hades. So, yeah, your reaction to the Hades scene and Josh Benny Safdie, I always get those two guys mixed up as Agamemnon just or farming the entire movie.
So number one is I think that the Hades scene is probably not only the best scene in the movie, but also the most important one because like it is a genuine turning point for um the Odysseus's character because that is the point where he's fine again because Odysseus he's not like and even with the bow and I want to talk about the bow in a minute because I find it really cool but like or I even talk about it now but like and it connects back to the Hades thing but like Odysseus is never the strongest person, right? Like he's a good fighter, but he's never like looked at or seen as the strongest, right? Like you see the suitors, like he's not the strongest. He is not known to be like the like but he's the smartest, right? Like that's what he is. He came up with the idea of the horse, for example, right? He knew, and even and again, like this comes back in the Hades scene, right? But with Sinan, where he's like where he's like tells tells like that's just like, oh, why didn't you tell me? You know I would have died for you. And he's like, I had to listen to you die, but you died saying the lie I told you that you believed. And I don't know what would have happened if I didn't tell you, if I told you the truth. And that's the kind of like it's the power of knowledge, which I think which is his fatal flaw, right? It is kind of the knowledge part of that, right? And I think and it's the power of like the desire for knowledge and the ability to have that knowledge set, I guess, right? And you see it again, and it comes up because when he's given that prophecy, right? And then you see the whirlpool scene, right? Which where he basically then has to confront people when they said, look, you told me like you told me that this is not even like you didn't tell me that six people were gonna die. Well, it's that or everyone. You choose. Like I knew. And then again, it's the Fire Island, Apollo's Island, right? Where it's oh, don't eat the cows, don't eat the cows. They're trying to hide and eat the cows. And by the way, we're gonna talk about that scene next. That's a really cool like visual scene as well. But like they're like, don't eat the cows, don't eat the cows, right? Then they eat the cows. And it's like over and over again, it's like his knowledge of the fact that A, he's going to get home, and B, he, he keeps trying to warn them because he's trying to protect them, but they don't want to be protected. And it's like that knowledge can drive you insane, having the ability to save people and people not wanting to be saved. And I think that shows you his character evolution because again, it goes from the knowledge and using it in a way of like causing destruction with like he did with the horse at the beginning to where it's like he's trying to use his knowledge to save people, right? And he's doing it to kind of try to help people and they don't want it. They're not receptive to it, right? And I think that's the thing again, which just is so it's just so unique in the sense of like you don't see like it's a story that yes, it's an old story, but like it's told so well. And again, by the way, like we didn't even talk actually about any of that stuff yet, and I know we probably will, but like the whirlpool, the island, like even Cersei, we kind of just mentioned them, but like I think like we will get to them, but like I find like that part like that like dichotomy I guess of like the differences when in knowledge and by the way again something else we haven't mentioned because there's a lot in this movie and we barely talk about any of it like the siren song and the fact that he wanted to hear the siren song and by the way after he heard the siren song that was also when he realized he didn't want to go home. And again, between that and what he heard in Hades about how he has to go back in disguise, I wonder, because obviously we don't know what the sirens are telling him, but if I think there was something about him feeling like, okay, I'm gonna get betrayed or something, because again, like you're done, like we saw that, like that was a big thing for him, was like the going back in disguise because you don't know what's gonna happen. You could get stabbed because well, he didn't actually murder his child, but again, you take my point. So I think that was something I thought was really, really interesting as well.
You were talking about Sinan and Elliot Page, and I wanted to get your response. I wanted to get your reaction to this. One of the biggest controversies before the film came out was some of the casting choices that were made. Obviously, Elliot Page is Sinan, Lupita Nyong'o is Helen of Troy as well. Um, no,
Hmm.
look, there objectively was a lot of controversy before the film came out, and people were not
I don't follow
very
any of that stuff. So this is I
people.
mean, I knew the Lupita Nyong'o one, but like only because of what she said about how Homer needs to talk to more women. But other than that,
um, and yeah, so there was a lot of um, sure, there was a lot of race swapping, but for me, I don't feel like it impacted the story in any way, shape, or form. I think it still went on perfectly fine. So what did you feel like that had any profound impact? Any of those swaps that they made?
look, and Alon, you know this about me because you know my thoughts on anything when it comes to people calling my to Marvel movies too woke. Like, look. I don't give a shit what the color of the skin or the gender or whatever of the person who's playing the character. If, like, look, Tom Holland's a straight white man, but I don't think he was cast right. And I will, but I, like, Lupita Nyong'o was fantastic because guess what? She's a really fucking good actress.
Yeah,
And you know what? It is, it is. And Elliot Page, like, look, the role was played well. Then at the end of the day, I believe the character. Again, like, you know. I'm not Jordan Peterson. Like I'm not gonna like I don't care. I don't like I'm watching a movie, I don't care.
Mhm.
And I didn't care at that point. I also don't generally like to judge characters based on, if I'm attracted to them. So like, I
Mhm.
don't, I'm not not Jordan Peterson. So like I just don't care. Like it didn't take, if it takes you out of the movie, it's one thing. It didn't. It was very, again, and by the way, like for all the quote unquote controversy, which I find funny, broadly when people complain about this kind of stuff because it's so dumb. But it's because again, a lot of times this is stupid. It's like there were so many fucking white people in that movie. I don't think there was any issue with the fact there was like one or two other people. Like most of them were white men. Like all the leads were white men. Robert Pattinson,
Mhm.
Matt Damon, Tom Holland, like John Bernthal. Like come on. I don't give a shit. Fucking two fucking black characters in the movie and one ended up being, I guess, white man, technically speaking now, like,
Mhm.
and like, I don't know. I don't care. And like, look, like there was, oh yeah, I guess there's another black guy in as one of the suitors, this other suitor, right? But
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
who the fuck cares? Like, I don't know. It didn't take me out of the movies. I don't care.
yeah. That's fair. I mean, at the end of the day, like it didn't really have any negative impact on the film either, and I think that's
No,
the important part of it too. You know, so that was that, and so another interesting part, and when I went to watch this movie in in Ultra AVX at my local Cineplex, and they had big screen obviously and improved sound. Um, one of the for me this was really this was a horrifying scene, B super suspenseful, and C super well done. The Cyclops in the cave scene, just they follow the goat into Cyclops' cave, and then Odysseus and his soldiers enter the cave, and it's just the music cuts out, everything cuts out, it's just complete silence, and you have no idea where the Cyclops is going to be, and he's this big and loud and imposing figure, right? And if my memory is right, they made a real Cyclops from that. That was not a CGI fake Cyclops in any way, shape, or form, which thousand hats off to Christopher Nolan and his team for being able to do a real Cyclops that wasn't special effects. You don't see that in movies very often nowadays, where it's some big mythical figure or fictional figure, and they do it with they actually build it. So the Cyclops scene was for me it was very scary, but that's why I liked it so much is because of how scary it was in that cave. Cyclops is going to be, and if all that stuff, and then after that came the scene where they grabbed the wooden stick and they used it to stab the Cyclops in the eye. My God, was that screaming of the Cyclops loud? Oh my, that was very loud. But yeah, I wanted to get your reaction to that entire scene because that was a very long sequence that was like it was it you know what I mean?
oh, hold on.
Yeah,
Oh, there you
yeah.
go.
So yeah.
So this is my thing, okay? I think the use of light is very important in movies, okay?
Mhm.
And I think that that Cyclops scene was a great use of light, a great use of sound, and a great use of just general, like, again, like even the design of the Cyclops, right? When you think Cyclops, unless you're like completely cooked brain like me and you just think of the X-Men, like outside of that, when you think of Cyclops, you think of like, you know, a guy with like one eye, right? Who just wandering around, right? Like a big guy, giant with one
Mhm.
eye, right? Or you think of the X-Men, anyways. But the thing was, this Cyclops was like designed very, very specifically. And again, I don't know what the mythical Cyclops is supposed to look like. Not that's not my thing, right? Um, And but like I just loved the way the design looked and it felt because it did feel real. It felt real. And that was something which like you didn't feel CG, right? Obviously it wasn't, it was practical effects, it was whatever. But like it felt real and it gave the movie so much more, I think, credibility because you kind of felt like, and again, like it was the screams as well, and then even the speaking at the end, right? And it's like that's when you start to feel bad for it. And like I don't know about you, but like when they got again, knowing nothing about this movie going into it, the second I saw the first sheep, I'm like, I know this is gonna be the because again, I know the general gist of like what they visited and whatever. I knew that was gonna be the Cyclops scene,
Mhm.
right? And I had a hunch. As soon as the sheep, I'm like
Mhm.
Cyclops scene for sure. Then they go to the cave. I'm like, okay, because again, you know the sheep and the cycle. Like everyone knows like that kind of like connection. And so, and that was awesome. And then the other thing was like, and it was just like, I felt so bad for the Cyclops. Like I'm like, leave the poor thing alone. And they wouldn't do it. And like the Cyclops like, clearly just do not care. But like, I don't know. And it's like, and it's just so cool. Like it was just such a cool scene. And like even when the Cyclops comes in and it's like you know it's coming, but still it's just so good. And it's like, yeah, it's scary and like it's loud and it's like consistently loud. And it's just
Yeah,
it's really good. Like I just really loved it. And so yeah, I agree with you on that one too. I love this movie so
yeah.
much.
Look, that Cyclops scene was unbelievable, and seriously, like super big hats off to Nolan and his team for building a real Cyclops and using that for that entire scene. And
And it
I give
moved really
credit.
well too.
It did. Its mechanics were really good, and it looked very natural. It didn't look very like
When it was
shaky
swimming,
or
especially like when it was out of the cave and it was like in the going to the
yeah,
water trying to catch the boats, like it was really, really good. I really did appreciate that.
yeah, very, and yeah, like you were saying, the mechanics just so on point. Everything looked completely natural, and yeah, just great scene all around. Another scene that
Wait, I have a
was
question for you. Sorry, I have one
very
question for you.
disturbing. Yeah,
Okay. Now I just had this thought. Do you think Matt Damon took this role to get revenge on Jeremy Renner? There you ask why. Or do you know
what
why?
what for Jason Bourne?
Yes.
I mean, that Jason
I
Bourne
just
movie came out like
I feel like that's something he would do. Like, I'm gonna be the better arrow shooting guy, and I'm just gonna like because you fucked with my because the worst Jason Bourne movie we agree is Jeremy Renner's, right? Everyone agrees universally. He
yeah.
like you fucked with my legacy. I'm gonna fucking take your fucking thing and become the most iconic arrow shooting guy and in movies. And I think he did, by the way. But like I don't know. I feel like there's something there.
I think you just said of Jason Bourne was called the Bourne Legacy.
Yeah, that was on purpose. You do know
Oh no, that was on purpose.
that was intentional.
Okay, that was
Come
um
on.
I yeah, I cannot tell you if Matt Damon took that role just to spite Jeremy Renner's role as Hawkeye in Marvel. Because Jason Bourne came out the Jeremy Renner Jason Bourne movie came out like I think it was like 14 years ago now or something like
I would have held a grudge.
that.
I would have. I would have like if I were him, I would have
Yes,
done it
no,
for that reason.
you were well, you were you fair enough, fair enough. Um, another scene that was very yeah, just very disturbing to watch was Cersei and
The
Odysseus' soldiers being
pigmen,
fed human meat
the
by
transformation.
and yes, the pigmen. Yes, and you
Oh
know, watching them being turned into pigs and like reaching her hand into their bodies, into their mouth. Yeah, so
nope. Are you there?
yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Um. Yeah, that transformation was creepy as fuck. I mean, I just like it was skin crawling. And then like the other thing was, and this is the thing I think again, which is like why this movie's so good, okay? So because this is one of those moments where Matt Damon was just stupid, but like in a good way. So like they leave him on the boat and they're like, "Look, we're gonna do this. We're cooing you, whatever, right?" So they leave him on the boat, and he's going hunting, okay? And he does this thing hunting where he like gives them a warning, right, before he hunts them, and so he like brings the bow or whatever, right? Okay, so and he does that. He shoots the deer or whatever, kills it, right? And it turns into a person. And then he comes up this that goes up to like because he's like he realizes, wait a second, this is bad. This is probably not good. And like and then he goes in and it's like, you see like all the people, whatever. He comes in, he sees all the pigs, okay? And he goes in, whatever, fine. Then he's talking to this woman, and clearly, like in again, maybe I'm wrong, but like there's one woman on this island and a bunch of animals. And he doesn't make the connection, at least not initially, that like she's doing this. So then he's like asking all these questions, whatever. He then sits down, okay? And like the reason that he did not become a pig and this movie did not end is because of the ring, right? Because he brings in his bull. But other than that, he was ready to eat this random woman's soup. And it's like you're not even in like you've shown so much maturity and discipline. And yet you're gonna just eat this random bowl of soup, even though you're like, because again, and the other thing I didn't understand, if I'm being honest with you, and I don't know if this was just like Cersei's psychoticness, but like, just remember, initially, if the pig didn't keep running away, and if Matt Damon actually killed the pig, then the pig would have become a person, one of his people. Now, I think she wanted him to kill one of his like people, which would have been devastating for him. But like that kind of would have ruined her entire plan if she wanted to make him a pig, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know what Cersei was thinking there. I don't know what Matt Damon was thinking there broadly, like in terms of like almost eating the stew. And again, maybe part of it, maybe Cersei because again, Cersei also did kind of give him the first prophecy, I guess, like the initial prophecy of like what's gonna happen. Maybe Cersei would never wanted to turn him into an animal. Maybe she wanted him to just eat his own friends or kill his own friends in some way. And so either by eating them or by, literally
Yeah.
killing him, but I don't know. I thought that was really fascinating. And then the whole bird hostage thing I loved from him. I don't know. It was just a really cool scene, really tense scene too. It was just great. And even like the way he hid
Yeah.
that. I don't know. I love that. The whole scene was so good. And the vibes of the island were so good too. I loved it.
So the last thing that I wanted to bring up to you, and I feel like this was one of the bigger kind of like I guess if you want to call it a central thematic moral code. Um, this movie talks a lot about Zeus's law. Um, it's this kind of Greek concept of requiring hosts to, be the best guest,
Treat people the way you
be
want
the
to be
best
treated,
host that you
basically.
can to any guest that you may have. Yeah, exactly. Treat people how you want to be treated because you never know if a traveler or a beggar is like a god in disguise. And Zeus's law was very prominent in in this film. We see Zeus's law with like Penelope constantly feeding her suitors um, in the dining hall, and when Odysseus isn't there. But do you have any thoughts, or did you pick up anything deeper with regards to Zeus's law in the film?
I mean, like, look, if we're gonna be very literal about this, it's a big problem in society now, right? Where people are just assholes.
Hmm.
And I think there was clear, like, look, was there cl like this is kind of social commentary where I think it's subtle enough that there'll be a bunch of idiots who probably need to pick up on the social commentary who won't, and but it won't be enough where it's gonna make people angry. Like and that's something which is hard to do, especially now. But like, yeah, was there social commentary? Of course there fucking was. The Zeus's Law thing was clearly social commentary on the fact that people are assholes and are greedy and are pig-like, and we need to be better as humanity. And not wrong, absolutely true. We see this all the time. You and I both know this. We
Yeah,
know people who,
yeah,
are like this. And I think yes, it's social commentary. Of course it is. But
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think but like I don't like I think and I think that it was again like I think it was done in the right way where it's going to probably, people pick up on it. It's kind of, I'll give you the example of Superman, right? Superman had social commentary. But man, Superman was a great movie and I mean, look, there was some social commentary that was picked up on by people instantly. Um, Specifically like, some of the weird Middle East comparisons. But there was also other social commentary there outside of that, which were not picked like which were good like lessons, right? And again, I think some of the more, Middle East whatever stuff is separate, but like I think there are other good like social commentary pieces in Superman. Anyways, and I think this movie also had a lot of that as well, and I think Oppenheimer actually had a lot of that as well. And again, like you see that from time to time in movies, and Barbie had it as well. Barbie's was a little more triggering, but again, I think it's all good things to have social commentary in movies because I think that's what makes movies good. It's always been like that, right?
Mm,
Now, that yeah, again, I think
yeah,
that's my thoughts on that.
yeah. Look, Nolan absolutely knocked it out of the park again with this movie. There's no denying that. And this is like going to when 2026 comes to an end, this is going to be one of the biggest middle movies of this entire year. That's one thing that's for sure. Rate it 1 to 10. Rate it.
Wait, before we die, I have a question for you. Because
Mhm.
you've read, and I haven't answered this, which is why I'm gonna ask you this. Like, so if you could go back in time, okay, and you could tell Nolan instead of number one, pick one of the stops they made and replace it with one of the stops they didn't talk. Because again, there's a lot of like different islands they went to. There's a lot of like in like the actual like literature, right? And
Yeah,
there's a lot of like other things. And again, there's some iconic ones they skipped out on. If you could replace something with something else, what would it be and why?
I think if I remember correctly, there was a island in the book that Odysseus stops at, and I think it's the island where Athena is from, and her people. From what I remember, that was like one of the first stops that Odysseus makes on his voyage back home. Seeing that would have been pretty interesting, but I think that every important island was visited in the Odyssey movie, so I can't. Yeah, but that's what I would say for that.
Really? That's interesting.
Mm. Yeah, like I said, Nolan included every single important part of the Odyssey books, every important stop, every plot point, every major thing that happens to every character that's important to it. But if I had to choose one, if my memory is correct, I think that there was an island where Athena was, and all of her a bunch of other people like Athena were there. Because obviously Zendaya as Athena, we don't have as much like backstory into her, and kind of exploring that would have been interesting. Because of the fact that she is like spiritually, not physically, in the movie with Odysseus. Um,
Well, we know she
yeah,
wasn't physically there because she didn't say a word.
exactly. Um, yeah. So, what would you rate this film on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, so the one thing I want to just say first, is probably like I would have split the Calypso stuff and the Locust stuff. Like because I know they
Mhm,
did more stuff with Locust, and I would have basically done that. And again, I know kind of like story wise would have had to change some things, but like I just didn't like the Cannibal Island basically. And I
mhm.
would have wanted to like get rid because they didn't explore enough for it to be worth it in my opinion. Because they just felt like bigger men, and it just kind of made like the scary men from the sea seem weak when they were just getting destroyed by these like giant men in metal. Um, and it was just again, it was felt like such a small stop for certain purposes of like just whatever like just like showing like okay Odysseus made a stupid decision or whatever. But again, I don't know. But yeah, no, to rate the movie, I would probably say um, it's been 8.5, 9 easily. maybe upon rewatch
Yeah,
higher. Let's see how it ages. But like I think we're basically hitting nine pretty easily right now. Out of 10, obviously.
yeah, yeah. I feel like that's general consensus is around the 8.5, 9 area out of 10.
I again like I
Anyway,
just think this is a really good movie. Really good movie.
yes, yes. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the grand returning of Mr. Khalil Jamal
That is correct.
onto our excellent, amazing movie podcast. Khalil, thank you very much for coming on here. I'm always more than happy to have you here. Obviously, you're one of the founders of this podcast, and
That is
your
true.
insights into
It
any
is
film is
nice to
always
not have to
the
like
most
run
valuable. Of
everything. It's really nice to not have to
that
run
is very
everything.
true.
I think
Yeah.
if I can come back and I can just chill and you can ask me the questions, I'm gonna be very happy and I'll come back a lot more. Also, I don't have to edit things, so I'm very happy. So I will be happy to accept your invitation back. And who knows, maybe we'll do something, like look, I love this podcast. I have a special place in my heart for this podcast, and us talking about movies is so much fun. Plus, it's gonna make
Mhm.
somebody who we both know extremely fucking envious and jealous, and it's going to be very funny. And I'm is part of this to spite someone um, who I have very deep amount of respect for. Yes, 100%. This is a lot of this is spite, but also it's fun
Yeah.
to talk about movies. Like I think I told you, Alon, I've genuinely missed talking about movies. Also, I have not watched nearly enough movies. I've been so busy. Like, you know how busy I am, man. It's rough, and so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
actually, you know what movie, by the way, I know we've gone for an hour, which is kind of crazy. Um, we've gone for a third of the runtime of the movie. Anyway, so the thing I find funny is like, so I don't know, have you seen Obsession? Or not Obsession, sorry, what the fuck is it called? Um,
Not yet, but Backrooms,
no, hold on. It is Obsession, yeah, yeah.
or is it a different horror movie?
No,
Obsession.
no,
I have not seen it yet. No, no, but obviously there's been a lot of super positive reviews.
yeah, it is, no, it is Obsession, yeah. Yeah, it's really good. You gotta watch it.
It,
My sister made me watch it. It was really good.
yeah, I heard that. I heard like it cost like $750,000 to make, and it made like $200 million in the box office.
Yeah, there's a lot of good movies. I gotta catch up on movies, man. I don't have time, bro. It's crazy. Anyways, but yeah, no, that was a good movie. Um, but anyways, thank you. Thank you for having me on. You can do whatever the outro is now. I don't know. I'm, I'm your
Anyways,
host. So
ladies and um, yeah. So guys, thank you for watching the Comic Boys Media Network. Um, and please like, subscribe, comment, and notification bell button so you won't miss a thing. Spider-Man review coming out soon. I hope I'm gonna get to watch it as soon as I can. Spider-Man review hopefully coming out soon. I got uh, I have a Reacher season 4 review planned. I have a Dog Stars review planned as well for the end of August. Um, and yeah, uh, I will see you guys soon. Take care.